Ed. Shawnee, could you please call the roll?
Cheatham,
Here.
Lurick,
Here.
Mangum, Mansfield,
Here.
Nichols,
Here.
Paulson,
Here.
Ladd.
Here. If you would please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, after which, if you would remain standing for the invocation, which will be offered by Pastor Michael Connor, representing First United Methodist Church. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening. First time for everything.
This is great.
Can I actually invite you to sit back down?
Sure, if you want.
Okay,
All right.
thank you. Just going to lead you on a very brief prayer of examen to help you get here and centered. So invite you to close your eyes or just rest them on a spot in front of you and to consider uncrossing your arms and legs and take a couple deep breaths. And to think back over your past week and to consider a moment when something about living here in the Pocatello community brought you joy, and to call that moment to mind. And then to consider the night's work. And is there a piece of business this evening that you find particularly meaningful or important that you're looking forward to discussing? Call that to mind and consider how you want to show up to that portion of the meeting as your best self. And set that intention and ask God for help. And then is there a part of tonight's work or agenda that you're particularly dreading? And how do you want to show up to that moment as your best self? And set that intention and ask God for help. Loving God, we give you thanks for this night and for these few who consider the needs and the hopes of the many, and for the other citizens and public servants that are here. I pray that you would help them all for the sake of your peace and your justice. Amen.
Amen. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Okay, we will move to agenda item 3 is a consent agenda. The following business items may be approved by one motion and a vote. If any one member of the council so desires, any matter listed can be moved to a separate agenda item. A, material claims. Council may wish to approve the material claims for the period of September 16 through October 2nd, 2024. B, treasurer's report. Council may wish to approve the treasurer's report for August 2024 showing cash and investments as of August 31, 2024. C, Golf Advisory Committee reappointments. Council may wish to confirm the mayor's reappointments of Danielle Mabey and John McCloskey to continue serving as a member of the Golf Advisory Committee. Danielle's term will begin October 5, 2024 and expire October 5, 2027. John's term will begin October 22, 2024 and expire October 22, 2027. D, Historic Preservation Commission reappointment. Council may wish to confirm the mayor's reappointment of Alan Ryan to continue serving as a member of the Historic Preservation Commission. Alan's term will begin October 8, 2024 and expire October 8, 2027. E, Pocatello Regional Airport Commission reappointment. Council may wish to confirm the mayor's reappointment of Norris Ganstrom to continue serving as a member of the Pocatello Regional Airport Commission. Norris's term will begin October 7, 2024, and expire October 7, 2026. F, exception request, Fill the Boot fundraiser. Council may wish to consider, sorry. Council may wish to consider a request from the Pocatello firefighters, IAFF Local 187, for an exception to ordinance or laws that would prevent the group from gathering funds for the Muscular Dystrophy Association Fill the Boot fundraiser on public right-of-way at the intersection of Highline Road and El Rancho Boulevard from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. on October 12, 2024. G, Police Personnel Administration Rules. Council may wish to approve proposed changes to Pocatello Police Department Personnel Administrative Rules, PAR.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I move that we approve the consent agenda items A through G as outlined in agenda item number 3.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion by Council President Lurick and a second by Councilmember Cheatham. Shawnee, could you please call the roll?
Lurick,
Yes.
Cheatham,
Yes.
Mansfield,
Yes.
Nichols,
Yes.
Paulson.
Yes.
Thank you. All right, I gotta fix that. Okay. I'm sorry, everything I was saying was being written or typed across the top of my screen here. It was throwing me for a minute. Like, what is going on? We'll move to agenda item 4 is proclamations. We have no proclamations, so we'll move to agenda item 5, calendar review. Council may wish to take this opportunity to inform other council members of upcoming meetings and events that should be called to their attention. October 10, 9 a.m., City Council work session. October 17, 5:30 p.m., council clarification meeting. 6 p.m., a regular City Council meeting. Other events, October 4, nominations for the Human Relations Advisory Committee Human and Civil Rights Award are due October 4. Visit the city's website for more information. October 14, Columbus Day, Indigenous Peoples Day. City offices will remain open during this holiday. Sanitation Department collection trucks will remain on their regular schedule. Early voting at the Bannock County Elections Office is open through November 1. Please use the ADA entrance in the parking lot behind the building during construction. Zoo Idaho will be open on weekends only through October 27th.
Mayor,
Yes.
I would like to say something.
Okay.
So October 25th at the Veterans Memorial Building, it's called Spooketti Party, Spaghetti. It's going to be a spaghetti fundraiser for the new skate park that's going to be built. They would like to build a memorial for someone who recently passed away. So it's $10 per person or $25 per family, and it's treats, spaghetti dinner, haunted house style stuff.
Cool. What a great idea. All right, thank you for that. That was October 25?
Yeah, October 25th, 5 p.m. to 8 p.m.
Okay, super,
At the Memorial Building?
Yes.
super. Thank you. Then we will move to agenda item 6, grant application, U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development Pro Housing Grant. Council may wish to approve the submission of a grant application to the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development for the FY24 Pathways to Removing Obstacles to Housing Pro Housing Program. The grant would provide necessary funding to address barriers to affordable housing and development. The total funding request is $2.6 million and does not require a match. Council may wish to approve the grant application submission and, if awarded, authorize acceptance of the grant and authorize the mayor's signature on all pertinent documents subject to legal department review.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes?
I move that we approve the grant application to the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, the Pro Housing Grant, and authorize the mayor's signature on all pertinent documents subject to legal department review.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion by President Lurick and a second by Councilmember Mansfield.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
before we vote, may we talk to Christine a moment?
Sure. She was already on her way up.
Are you going to ask her questions about the air tower?
Maybe.
In this, there's a proposed rewrite of the zoning ordinance for Title 17. Any idea how long that's going to take or when that might actually happen?
Christine Howe, Grants Manager. For this particular grant, it has a 5-year period of performance, so we're anticipating we would do the housing study that's proposed first and then the zoning rewrite. Typically, they take up to 16 to 18 months to do a comprehensive procurement and rewrite. So the process itself might only be 12 months, but we have kind of the front end of, getting any consultants on board and then all the approvals. So that would be anticipated to be in years 3 and 4 of this particular grant program.
Is there an expectation of what this survey of the housing needs is going to determine? Any idea where this is going to go or what it might do?
Sure. So the the comprehensive housing studies are really helpful for looking at potential housing production needs. So sometimes they're called housing production plans. So you can see what types of housing you need in which areas of the city. You can also look into barriers to housing or what's causing barriers to housing development. So things beyond, maybe that missing middle housing development, smaller lot sizes, things like that. So the study will really do a more comprehensive examination of what's going on in the city in terms of our exact housing needs. And we also incorporate, because this one's HUD funded, elements of the Fair Housing Act. So any potential barriers in policies or processes that might be, inhibiting people from accessing housing.
But this would be a study to determine that. But is there any funding in this grant to act on those determinations?
Not specifically for those strategies. In our first round of funding, we did include some funds for any potential projects that might come out of the housing study, but it was too vague for the grant application, so they didn't award us points for that, and it's kind of hard to know the exact projects we would do without having the study done. So I tried to make this application a little more competitive by first focusing on the study, and then we'd get the list of strategies to implement. It'd be kind of similar to the comprehensive plan, but for housing specifically. So where we have those goals and those strategies outlined in the comp plan, you'd have a similar product with the housing study. I think that's, obviously there's limitations there, but with the zoning rewrite included, that typically is an end product and suggestions that come out of housing studies. So we do have at least that element built into the funding. And we've included a lot of funding to bolster our renewal program that we operate out of through the CDBG funds, which include things like acquisition and infill development, down payment assistance, and then our rehab grants and loans. So I think some of those programs will be able to fill some of the gaps that come out of the housing study, just knowing what the barriers kind of exist already.
Last night when I was reviewing all of this, I made some notes, and today I can't quite make sense of them, but I'm going to try and form a question of what I was after. There's $1.8 million mentioned in here of city funding, and I'm wondering, is that anticipated to come from CDBG sources in the future? Is that what we're obligating for the next 5 years?
So that's, in this grant, it's kind of unique. It's not a match, it's what they call leverage funding. And it includes CDBG funding as well as our general staff time. So for example, we have a long-range planner who works on our long-range plans, such as the comprehensive plan, the Parks and Rec plan, and then the housing study would be another plan that staff person would work on. So where we have that allocated in the general fund, I can consider that leveraged funding since we're already funding those positions, and use that to help award us points more competitively on the grant application. The renewal programs we operate, I also included those future entitlement programs as leverage funding. And we did this is actually round 2 of this application. We weren't awarded the first round, but in that first round, we did a similar setup with the leverage funding in the grant request, and we did receive all the points confirmed that leverage funding was verified by whatever process HUD goes through to do that. So I felt including it again would get us those points. So that's why we took that approach with the leverage funding.
So it doesn't implicate future CDBG funding to the city in any of this?
Implicate as in.
As far as-
Kind of obligated to do
Yeah,
certain.
dedicate or obligate, yes.
Yeah, we would be required to do the renewal programs. So it could potentially, kind of reserve those dollars for renewal for the next 5 years.
We get about $450,000 a year, as I remember, so that would be.
About 350,000.
300, it's down to, all right, it's down even. So that would basically do away with funding any other agencies if we had to obligate all of that funding.
No, I only projected based on what we currently use for renewal. So about 100,000 a year of that 350. And I also utilized the administrative bucket that we were capped at 20% for that staff time. So that's about 60,000 per year that goes toward admin and planning. So I did project it using what we currently have in our con plan for those categories already. So it would still reserve the public service funding at the 15% for CDBG.
One last question. On page 24, in this, there's Table 3, the program year 2023 CDBG income limits, and there's a hole in the very low 50% in column 4 that is still white instead of black. And I'm wondering, is that a computational error, or is that exactly why that, it doesn't look right?
The Table 3 program year 2023 CDBG
Yeah.
income limits.
Column 4, line 2, the very low 50% where it's not blacked out.
You're right. So when this is printed in color, the darker color is red and the lighter color is green. And the red shows that those folks at those income levels cannot afford fair market rent at their current wage and household size. So the chart is highlighting that, for example, if you had a household size of 5 at the very low income level, you would not be able to afford a rental unit. And the green shows that you would be within that affordability.
So what's the color on 4, household size 4, line 2?
That
That
one
one's
is
still
green.
white. It's green?
That one's green, so yes, they make $42,450 per year. And so in theory, 30% of their income would allow them to afford the rental based on our current fair market rent.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Linda?
I just have a sort of technical question, I guess. The date, I'm interested in the fact that it says it's the fiscal year '24 Pathways to Removing Obstacles to Housing program, but it would be potentially 5 years from 25 to 30. So how fast would you hear about this? And are they making that decision in '24? Why is it fiscal year '24?
The fiscal year is a reference to the federal fiscal year, so they use that when they're doing the notice of funding opportunity, the NOFO, and that's how they kind of track each grant, discretionary grant program is with an FY attached to that title.
Okay.
But our program would run over the 5 years and begin in February. When we applied to this the first round, they said we would be able to begin in January, but they didn't issue notices of award or not award until May. So I'm hoping they stay on schedule for this round. And ideally, we would hear back in January or early February and then be able to begin that period of performance then
And then through 2030?
through 2030, September of 2030.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Other questions, council? Okay,
Thank
thank
you.
you. So we have a motion by Council President Lurick and a second by Councilmember Mansfield. Shawnee, could you please call the roll?
Lurick,
Yes.
Mansfield,
Yes.
Cheatham,
Yes.
Nichols,
Yes.
Paulson.
Yes.
Thank you. Agenda item 7, Resolution and Airport Lease Agreement, Federal Aviation Administration, FAA. Council may wish to accept the recommendations of staff and adopt the resolution and approve a lease agreement with the Federal Aviation Administration to lease approximately 1.31 acres of property at the airport at no cost, upon which the tenant will construct a new air traffic control tower and authorize the mayor's signature on all pertinent documents subject to legal department review. The lease will be for a 20-year period.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
Mr. Mayor, I'd move for approval of the resolution and airport lease agreement with the Federal Aviation Administration and authorize your signature on all pertinent documents subject to legal department review as outlined in agenda item number 7.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion by Councilmember Cheatham and a second by Councilmember Paulson.
Mr. Mayor, may we talk with our airport manager?
We can talk
briefly?
to our airport manager for sure.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. Alan Evans, Airport Manager at Pocatello Regional Airport.
Mr. Mayor, my question is there a timetable set for construction of this tower yet?
We know that we are one of the first 3 towers that they're going to build under this new process. I believe I just got notified today that they are coming in, I think it's the week after next, to start discussing, to look at the site. They've done a lot of the preliminary stuff on this site. They know what's there, and they've done the sampling, soil sampling, and so forth. I'm hoping to hear fairly soon when they think they will start. The original, they had talked like maybe it would be this fall, but they had run into some issues in some of their other locations in this first group. So ours is probably the cleanest out of all 3 locations that are in that first group.
And am I correct in assuming that the FAA will handle this construction project? This won't be a pass-through through the city?
No, this will totally be done through FAA.
Good.
It will be all
Thank
on
you.
them.
Super, any other questions for? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So I have a motion by Councilmember Cheatham and a second by Councilmember Paulson. Shawnee, would you please call the roll?
Cheatham,
Yes.
Paulson,
Yes.
Lurick,
Yes.
Mansfield,
Yes.
Nichols,
Yes.
Thank you. Agenda item 8, Local Professional Services Agreement, Brennan Trail Extension and Pedestrian Bridge, Keller Associates. Council may wish to approve a local professional services agreement, Brennan Trail Extension and Pedestrian Bridge between the City of Pocatello and Keller Associates Incorporated for the construction of the Brennan Trail Extension and Pedestrian Bridge project, and authorize the mayor's signature on all pertinent documents subject to legal department review. Funding has been allocated through the Portneuf Greenway Foundation, and the city has no funding obligation for the project.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I move that we approve the local professional services agreement with, for the Brennan Trail Extension and Pedestrian Bridge with Keller Associates as outlined in agenda item number 8, and authorize your signature on all pertinent documents subject to legal department review.
Second.
Thank you. I have a motion by Council President Lurick and a second by Councilmember Cheatham.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
is there someone I could ask a question or two?
I'm sure there is. Come on up. Becky's got the answers to everything, so you know.
Becky Bad, Public Works Project Manager.
One of the things that's mentioned in this executive summary is that the city's going to take over all the maintenance on the pathway and bridge in the future. Has there been a projection of what that maintenance might be and what it's going to add to our needed costs for street, for instance?
There hasn't been a formal projection. It would likely not be that significant of an increase. There's a bridge just shortly up the way from that that's already in place at the Millward Mile. So it would just be an increase of an already existing trail and a very short extension so that that can cross the river. But there has not been a formal analysis of what that cost increase would be.
I wonder if our street department head might give us a better idea of what his experience has been with these sort of projects and what we can look at in the future for continued maintenance.
How long is
It's 100 feet of trail plus a bridge.
Tom Kirkman, Director of Public Services. Without knowing the length and the width of the trail, it's difficult. Usually they're about 10 foot wide. The best thing with pavement is you want to keep it good while it's still good. So I'm unaware of the length. And so I would say probably for every 100 feet, you're looking at a 10 by 100, that's 1,000. You're probably looking at
Merrill says 80.
80 feet long.
80 by 10.
It's 800 square feet. You probably won't need to do a treatment for 5 years, and it'll be probably under $1,500. If you don't stick to it, then you gotta do further treatments, and it gets more expensive exponentially. We do have a problem with the greenway trails because there's never been a maintenance plan put together for those. We're working with Ann Butler on that. We have AI technology that we're using to survey roads, and we surveyed the greenways. And so we can help put together a pavement management plan for that will address any cracking and potholes and surface treatments that go along. But we're kind of in the infant stages of that right now.
Mr. Mayor, if I may ask one more. My concern in this particular park area is the problem we've suffered with flooding in that particular park over the past few years. Seems like every year there's damage to the trail system up there. Is this location going to be also subject to that kind of flooding?
I'm unaware of this agenda item, so you'll have to forgive me. But if it is in those low-lying areas, when we have high water, they do underwater. And the absolute worst thing you can do with pavement is go underwater. So whenever you submerge one of these paths, the sub-base, or the base and the sub-base get saturated, and then the asphalt, the water washes away the oils. The good thing about the greenway trails is you don't have heavy truck traffic or vehicles on it. So that saves you a bunch for that. But we definitely don't want them underwater, but unfortunately the topography doesn't always work in our favor for that. So that's part of the plan that we want to put together is we can start identifying those low-lying ones that go underwater, and we would just put accelerated treatments on those. So as it's stripped, when it goes underwater and it's stripped, the oil is stripped out of it, then we can apply more oil more frequently to those areas.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions, council? Okay, thank you, Tom. We have a motion by Council President Lurick and a second by Councilmember Cheatham. Shawnee, could you please call the roll?
Lurick,
Yes.
Cheatham,
Yes.
Mansfield,
Yes.
Nichols,
Yes.
Paulson.
Yes.
Thank you. Agenda item 9, resolution in safe streets and roads for all action plan adoption. Council may wish to adopt a resolution and approve the Safe Streets and Roads for All SS4A action plan as presented to the council at the August 8, 2024 work session and authorize the mayor's signature on all applicable documents, subject to legal department review.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I move to approve agenda item number 9 as listed.
Second.
Thank you. Who was that? All right.
Mangum.
We're so funny. We have a motion by Councilmember Nichols and a second by Councilmember Mansfield. Mangum, his twin, is in here, so I don't get him confused. And we have Christine that would like to say a few words and introduce.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Christine Howe, Grants Manager. This has been kind of a lengthy planning process, and I'm sure you've heard me come before you saying the acronym SS4A for the last 18 months. So I just wanted to take a quick opportunity to introduce our consultant, Josh Gibbons from Hales Engineering Group, who helped us work on this project, and let him just give you a quick 2-minute about the plan. This plan will allow us to apply for implementation funding, so be able to actually do the projects that are proposed in here. So we're pretty excited about it and appreciate your attention to it and support throughout the last many months of planning and creating the document.
Thank you. Josh Gibbons with Hales Engineering. It's great to be here with you tonight. Just wanted to give a brief kind of summary of the work we did. We had a great experience working with city staff on this. The SS4A program is a great opportunity for the city to get that implementation funding for future safety projects. It's kind of a new funding mechanism that's been helping a lot of communities around the country. Our part in this was to look at 3 focus areas in the city, looking at the downtown area, the Alameda neighborhood, and Hawthorne neighborhoods as well. And that involved some public engagement with surveys to the public on that. We talked with city staff about current conditions, concerns they had about certain intersections or locations from a safety perspective, also from an operations and traffic flow perspective. So we looked at it from both views. And as part of that, we analyzed and counted traffic counts at about 30 intersections in the city, analyzed those in existing future conditions. And then from the safety side, we looked at all the history on crash data in the city and proposed safety projects based on that history, but also based on our observations at the intersections to see what could be done to improve safety. And so in total, it resulted in about 30 projects as well. Some of those for safety, some of those for operations, but many of those can be applied for funding in the future to benefit the city. So, thank you.
Thank you.
One
We've got a
question.
question for you.
Yeah, of course.
Is there a priority list of these projects that you consider most important?
The safety ones, for sure, are the highest priority, and those are the ones you can get the implementation funding for. Within this, we didn't set a specific priority, but that's certainly something that can be found within the data as well, as far as locations that had more crashes than the others, or locations that had more delays for vehicles, if it's a operations improvement. So,
Thank you.
Thank you.
thank you.
So we have a motion by Councilmember Nichols and a second by Councilmember Mansfield. Shawnee, could you please call the roll?
Nichols?
Yes.
Mansfield?
Yes.
Cheatham?
Yes.
Lurick?
Yes.
Paulson?
Yes.
Thank you. Agenda item 10 is an ordinance. 10A, an ordinance rezoning approximately .23 acres of land from residential medium-density single-family RMS to residential commercial professional RCP with concurrent amendment to future land use map from residential R to mixed-use MU, said property more particularly described as Lot 5, Block 4, Green Acres Addition, Bannock County, Idaho. Council, how do you wish to have this read? Councilmember Mansfield.
I move the ordinance agenda item number 10A be read only by title and placed on final passage for publication, and that only the ordinance summary sheet be submitted for publication.
Second.
We have a motion by Mansfield and a second by Paulson. Shawnee, could you please call the roll?
Mansfield?
Yes.
Paulson?
Yes.
Cheatham?
Yes.
Lurick?
Yes.
Nichols?
Yes.
Thank you. Jared, could you please read the ordinance?
Yes. An ordinance of the City of Pocatello, a municipal corporation of Idaho, rezoning approximately .23 acres of land located at 906 East Elm Street, Pocatello, Idaho, from zoning designation residential medium-density single-family RMS to residential commercial professional RCP, with a concurrent amendment to the future land use map from residential R to mixed-use MU. Said property being more particularly described as Lot 5, Block 4, Green Acres Addition, Bannock County, Idaho. Providing for the repeal of all ordinances in conflict herewith, and providing that this ordinance shall be in full force and effect from and after its passage, approval, and publication according to law.
I declare that to be the final reading of the ordinance. Shall the ordinance pass? Shawnee, could you please call the roll?
Cheatham?
Yes.
Lurick?
Yes.
Mansfield?
Yes.
Nichols?
Yes.
Paulson?
Yes.
Thank you. Agenda item 10B, an ordinance rezoning approximately 5.46 acres of land located at 2806 South Fifth Avenue from commercial general CG to residential commercial professional RCP with a concurrent amendment to the future land use map from commercial C to mixed use MU. Council, how do you wish to have the ordinance read? Councilmember Mansfield.
Mr. Mayor, I move the ordinance agenda item 10B be read only by title and placed on final passage for publication, and that only the ordinance summary sheet be submitted for publication.
Second.
Thank you. I have a motion by Mansfield and a second by Cheatham. Shawnee, could you please call the roll?
Mansfield?
Yes.
Cheatham?
Yes.
Lurick?
Yes.
Nichols?
Yes.
Paulson?
Yes.
Jared, could you please read the ordinance?
An ordinance of the City of Pocatello, a municipal corporation of Idaho, rezoning approximately 5.46 acres of land located at 2806 South Fifth Avenue, Pocatello, Idaho, from zoning designation Commercial General CG to Residential Commercial Professional RCP, with a concurrent amendment to the future land use map from Commercial C to Mixed Use MU. Said property being more particularly described on the attached Exhibit A, providing for the repeal of all ordinances in conflict herewith, and providing that this ordinance shall be in full force and effect from and after its passage, approval, and publication according to law.
I declare that to be the final reading of the ordinance. Shall the ordinance pass? Shawnee, could you please call the roll?
Cheatham,
Yes.
Lurick,
Yes.
Mansfield,
Yes.
Nichols,
Yes.
Paulson.
Yes.
Thank you. We'll move to agenda item 11, emergency declaration expenditure for sewer repairs on Clark Street. Council may wish to declare that an emergency exists and that the public's interest and necessity demand the immediate expenditure of public money in accordance with Idaho Code 67-2808 paren 1 for the completion of sewer repairs on Clark Street. The emergency work is necessary to safeguard life, health, and property. The project is estimated to cost $133,000 and is estimated to take up to 4 weeks for completion. Funds are available in the FY 2025 Water Pollution Control Emergency Repairs and Maintenance Budget.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
I move that we approve the emergency declaration expenditure for sewer repairs on Clark Street as outlined in agenda item number 11.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion by Council President Lurick and a second by Councilmember Cheatham.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
may we speak to our
Absolutely.
engineers about this project?
Could we get the engineers up here about this project?
Isaac Gonzalez. Oh, sorry.
Identity?
Isaac
Identity?
Gonzalez, Collection Supervisor.
Who's
Mike.
next to you?
Jeff Mansfield, Public Works. Waiting for the question.
My concern is when we have an emergency situation, an emergency declaration like this, I think the public needs to know why we're doing this project, to the extent of why we're taking this kind of action and spending $133,000. Could you explain the project to us?
So with this project, there is sewer water deteriorating around our manhole. We want to get to it before it causes any more issues or spreads, cause any major issues. We just want to get to it before it can expand further into the road. The sooner we hit it, the better, because that is our trunk line, and we don't want anything to happen to that, because if anything does happen to it, there's a lot of flow at that particular point.
So the project you're doing will not require the street to be dug up? It'll simply require work inside the manhole?
No, the street will need to be dug up. Our manhole is deteriorating also. It was pre-lined at one point in time, but the deterioration was too extensive. So it will need to be dug up, replaced, new base set, and a new structure from the bottom up
Okay.
to prevent it from deteriorating.
Is there any evidence of any extensive seepage of sewage in that area?
Yes, we do not know for how long. We do examine and jet the city once a year. From what we could see and what we know, there is sewer going into the ground right there. Our drop manhole is broken, so the sewer coming from that line is seeping into the ground, which is corroding around the manhole.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions, Council
I was
President?
just wondering if you could tell us a little bit about how long the street will be torn up and where traffic, because that's coming off of the interstate, one of the main roads into town. How are you going to route them?
So we are currently trying to just block off one side of the road.
Lane.
We're trying to. We do not want, it's Clark. It's a double road. We're going to try that. If not, we might have to block it off, depending on how our bypass is set up. We're going to try to bypass off East Lander that way. But if not, we're going to have to pothole next to Clark. And depending on how the bypass is set up, we might have to block off both lanes or just the one. It's all on how that particular point of repair is going to work out. So we're just kind of working around. And how long it's going to take, we're hoping for 2 weeks. But everything's been out for later just in case on these type of projects, especially on the location.
Okay, I've got a question by Councilmember Mansfield and then Councilmember Nichols.
The fund that we're using, the Water Pollution Control Emergency Repairs and Maintenance Budget, is this fund line specifically for unplanned emergencies, or is it for routine maintenance as well?
So they have a fund that is specific for emergencies like this. There's not enough money in that particular fund to fund the whole entire thing, so part of that will have to come out of their maintenance fund as well.
Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Nichols?
So this fix will solve the seepage problem?
Oh, yes.
Okay,
Yep.
all right.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you. We have a motion by Council President Lurick and a second by Councilmember Cheatham. Shawnee, could you please call the roll?
Lurick,
Yeah.
Cheatham,
Yes.
Mansfield,
Yes.
Nichols,
Yes.
Paulson,
Yes.
Thank you. Agenda item 12, items from the audience. This time has been set aside to hear items from the audience not listed on the agenda. Items which appear somewhere else on the agenda will not be discussed at this time. The council is not allowed to take any official action at this meeting on matters brought forward under this agenda item. Items will either be referred to the appropriate staff or scheduled on a subsequent agenda. You must sign in at the start of the meeting in order to be recognized. As a reminder, there's a total of 3 minutes per person and 15 minutes for this agenda item. Nikki Taysom.
Thank you. Nikki Taysom, Pocatello, Idaho. On Section 4 of Article 4, it states under the form of government, the United States shall guarantee every state in the Union a republican form of government and shall protect each of them against invasion and on application of the legislature or of the executive when the legislature cannot be convened against domestic violence. Section 3 of Article 6. The Constitution and the laws of the United States which shall be made in pursuance thereof, and all treaties made of which shall be made under the authority of the United States shall be the supreme law of the land. And the judges in every state shall be bound thereby. Anything in the Constitution or laws of any state or to the contrary, notwithstanding. The preamble states, "We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and do secure the blessings of liberty for ourselves and our posterity, and do ordain and establish the Constitution of the United States as the supreme law of this land." We have a sacred document that was established by God, by our founders, and also for our pilgrims. We're invaded in this town, in this country. And we have some situations in this town that are not safe, including for children and others, including my family, who do live here and are under nonstop retaliation for our stance on some of these issues. Everybody's a priceless child of God to me. And we have been given a sacred U.S. birthright and a sacred duty that goes with that to preserve and protect these laws and we, the people of the United States, under them. And our rights and protections, including our liberty, our lands, our homes, and our national security. I'm calling you to do that, to uphold it. We said a pledge of allegiance to that flag, and that is the only color and flag we fly in this country. It stands for everything that we are supposed to be and do. And anything else, to me, is an act of sedition and tyranny and treason, to desecrate and divide and conquer us. And so I call on you, as a body, as a town, as a nation, to come back under that flag, our God, and this law, and hold it sacred. And that's when we will be blessed. That's when we will have the blessings that God would have us have. We would have the blessings of the nation, and our families, our lands, and our homes. Everything will work according as God established it and would have us be globally. The nation was established by God to be a light to the rest of the world, to bring everybody back to our Father, Mother, and Heaven, and Savior. I call on you to remember that, hold it sacred. Most of you made covenants and a pledge of allegiance, and if not, a scout oath to do that, and to be morally straight about it. Our children need it. They're looking for leaders. They're looking for people of honor. They're looking for protectors and guidance. They want boundaries. They want safety. They want the truth. And I'm calling on you to provide that. And I share it humbly in the name of Jesus and his second coming's at the door. I don't know if all of you believe that, but I do. And we and my family want everybody here for it. And I do share it in the name of Jesus.
Thank you
With the
very
sewer
much.
treatment thing,
Thank you, Nikki.
has our water been
With that,
contaminated?
before we end, I just want to recognize our chamber CEO, Matt Hunter, for being here. Thank you, Matt, for being here tonight. That's good for you to be a part of this. So thank you very much. And with that, we are adjourned.